morning. This is the Eager Beaver Show.
You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters, CanadianTarot.com, your uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community, and the Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from farm-fresh ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind. Well, good morning and hello, kids, and welcome to Season 4 and episode number 384 of the Daily Beaver Morning Show here on the Cryo Media Network. Yeah. Today, recording day is Friday, May 17th, 2024, and most importantly, it's Beaver Sweetie birthday day. It's Beaver Sweetie birthday day. It's Beaver Sweetie birthday day. The love of my life is another year older. It's lovely. Lovely, 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 lovely. And let's see. It's a gorgeous day here at the Beaver Lodge. So that helps too. I'm your host, the Eager Beaver pronouns he/him/hey, Mr. Beaver. And today, President Teddy Roosevelt.
Yes, very much so. Very much so.
We had our dress rehearsal last night, hence the darker mustache and the parted hair. So, yes, charge! A big thank you goes to our podcast founding sponsors, the Peppermaster, the Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, and CanadianTarot.com. And as you can hear, we have my friend Mr. Grizzly with me. So, Mr. Grizzly, how's your mental health today? Again, that's a really great shirt.
Oh, thanks.
I've never seen that one before.
It was a clubbing shirt from the 90s.
Yes,
I was up in Miami on Collins Boulevard back in about 1997, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I was down there for a weekend and literally flew down to Miami for a weekend. A friend of mine was working there and was working in Tampa. Yes, was working in Tampa. No, sorry, Jacksonville. Was working in Jacksonville and had a convertible. Said, dude, fly down. We'll hang out. I'm like, yeah. So I flew down and we hopped in the rental and in the convertible, drove down to Miami, stayed in Miami for a few days and then back to Tampa. And then I was Jacksonville and then I flew home. And it was a good weekend. So I picked up, I have another one similar to this, but it has a higher collar and it's got a little zipper and it's like silvery shimmery. It's like, ooh. It's super clubbing from the 90s.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Is I think I've seen that. I think I've temporarily seen that shirt on the club floor. Yeah, the gay bars back in the day. It's just because like the shirt stays on for about like 5 minutes and then you're bare chested the rest of the night.
Well, and we're I was wearing that shirt, right, the silvery one with the zipper, half zip. It only zips to about here, right?
Right.
And I was wearing that standing in line to get into this club, and Baby Heck Romero was DJing that night.
Oh,
this is a long time ago, right? And the person with the clipboard checking things. I was walking to the line and goes, "What are you doing here?" I go, "I'm sorry, I'm waiting to get." No, what are you doing standing in line? You should be inside right now. Come with me. So myself and my friend went right to the front of the line and buy this man some drinks. And like, I think he liked my shirt. I don't know. I had a full head of hair back then too, right? So.
Great. I love it. Okay, kits and cubs. Let's see how we put this. Today is a bit of a rougher start to the show
Yeah.
because somebody brought something to our attention, and we'll have some video for it. And it's of the Speaker of the Legislature in Saskatchewan.
Wow.
But we're going to
It
put
is-
this, yeah.
It's
But we're going,
bombastic.
yeah. But we're going to put this in a little context here, because a couple of days ago, there's a Liberal MP. Her name is Pam Damoff, and she is the MP for Oakville North, Burlington.
Okay.
And on May 1st, there was an article that appeared in CBC titled, "Liberal MP Says She's Leaving Politics Over Disrespectful Dialogue, Misogyny, and Threats."
Mm-hmm. Yes, I do
And I'll
recall that.
put the picture up here there, Mr. Grizzly, so people can see. And she did give an interview also. So if you go to that article and click here, there, you can see a full interview with her. I believe it probably would be on Power and Politics. Anyway, this article goes on to say, Liberal MP Pam Damoff says she won't run again in the next federal election after reporting she has experienced misogyny and disrespectful dialogue in politics, along with threats to her life. In a media statement, Damoff says she's proud of her time in politics, but it's no longer for her. She's represented Oakville, North Burlington, a riding west of Toronto, since 2015. Damoff announced she planned her exit with a letter posted on Facebook. She said the current tone in politics is being driven by a desire for social media clips and likes, a drastic change in how politicians interact with each other and the public. Quote, "Unfortunately, the toxic drive for social media likes and clips among elected officials has hindered constructive conversations, exacerbated difference between us, and diminished our capacity to show empathy towards each other. The threats and misogyny I have experienced as a member of parliament are such that I often fear going out in public, and that is not a sustainable or healthy way to live." She added that the tenor of the political discourse has deteriorated significantly, and she fears that misinformation and lies spread by politicians are causing a loss of trust in institutions. So, and then earlier, we had Gatineau Mayor France Bilil, who stepped down, citing a hostile political climate, and that was in February. She was the first female mayor of Gatineau, elected in 2021 and 2024, 3 years later.
Mm-hmm.
Just said enough. Didn't even do her full term. Right? And then recently, I believe that the RCMP, it was, had some stuff to say about MP safety. I think it was Michael Duheme, who's the RCMP commissioner, Mike Duheme. He testified, and it seems that this is another CBC article from May 12th. Politicians keep getting more threats. The head of the RCMP says new tools might be needed to protect them. And this one says, RCMP Commissioner Mike Duheme says he wants the government to look at drafting new law that would make it easier for the police to pursue charges against people who threaten elected officials. So the police are saying to the political officials, you need to write new law. Right. The Mounties are seeing an increase of invective directed at politicians, including comments from the same individuals on multiple occasions. However, often the behavior does not meet the criminal code threshold for laying a charge of uttering threats. Quote, so that's sometimes a challenge, but there are other tools that we can use. Is there anything else that we could add to the criminal code that can address the situation? Duheme said the RCMP hopes to work with Public Safety Canada and the Department of Justice on the possibility of a new provision to address the phenomenon. It would be nice to see if we could look at that. People feel more free to express what they really think, which is a good thing, but it has to be done in a civil way. Every elected official has a right to feel secure in doing their job. Duhame's comments come amid growing concerns about the safety of politicians. MPs have been followed on the street and subjected to death threats. The escalation has prompted efforts to bolster protection and security measures. And then this article mentions Liberal MP Pam Damoff, who recently announced that she wouldn't run in the next election. Duheme said the RCMP regularly communicates with other police forces about threats to politicians. In addition, the Mounties have a liaison team that keeps in touch with federal ministerial offices about daily security needs. And the force works closely with the House of Commons Sergeant at Arms concerning protection of MPs. The force will sometimes turn to disruption measures, with officers knocking on the door of someone who has made a concerning comment to have a chat with them, Duheme said. RCMP behavioral science specialists also look at incoming cases, and the force has noticed that disturbing comments sometimes come from people known to the force from earlier incidents, he added. An intelligence report released in March said threats against politicians had become increasingly normalized due to extremist narratives prompted by personal grievances and fueled by misinformation or deliberate lies. In June 2023, the June 2023 report prepared by a federal task force that aims to safeguard elections said baseless theories, disinformation, and misinformation had spread to larger audiences, exposing online users to a vast network of narratives that undermine science, systems of government, and traditional figures of authority. Quote, violent rhetoric routinely fixates on elected officials with particular hostility towards high-profile women, the report said. In recent years, countries like Bolivia, Brazil, and Tunisia have brought in legislation directed at violence against women in politics. Again, Bolivia, Brazil, and Tunisia have brought in legislation directed at violence against women in politics, ensuring that social media platforms are enforcing terms of service that will minimize the sense of violence is important, says Chris Tonov, Assistant Director at the Center for the Study of Democratic Institutions at the University of British Columbia. The recently introduced federal online harms bill is one way of helping establish standards around expectations of such platforms for addressing harassment, threats, and hate speech, he said. While much of the abuse comes via cyberspace, it can also spill into the physical realm, Tonov said. Quote, so you're getting threats online and there's a protest, so it's come to your home. And you've also been shouted out in city council meeting, he said. They're quite often mixed together. Tonov added it is important for party leaders and staff to make it clear to supporters that it's inappropriate and undemocratic for them to threaten, harass opposing political parties online. And it would be good to see more of those public expressions because that kind of cross-party unity around what's appropriate is really necessary. So you got politicians leaving, stating why. You got the commissioner of the RCMP telling politicians, you guys need to make new law. Now you got some people go, well, gee, why is it that we need new laws for politicians? I mean, if you harass anybody, it shouldn't be the same thing. Yes.
Yes.
When you talk about harassing politicians in this particular way, you're not just harassing a person, you're trying to have an impact on the entire population of a nation.
There's a difference.
Right? There's an extra layer when you try to intimidate people that are democratically elected. Now, we're having all of these talks right now about foreign interference, and we need to do that. But I think we need to start having some conversations about some domestic interference as well. Because right now, that's going right under the radar. And Mr. Grizzly, I will let you take it from here.
Well, we have some video that we're going to play it in chunks because it's about 10 minutes, 11 minutes. And it's disturbing, to say the least. Because I was watching this video earlier and I'm like, it just progressively gets worse.
Mm-hmm.
And it goes into areas where I never thought would be having this type of conversation. So just watch this.
Before I ask for approval of that motion, I have a few comments. As we close this spring session, there are many people that I would like to acknowledge. The clerk's office, Irish Lang, Ken Ring, Kathy Biernack, Rob Park, Ann Drake.
Look at how nervous this man is.
I had the same comment like this.
This is what
the
he
trembling
does.
in his voice.
Yes.
And how his hands are shaking here.
This is what this man is a speaker, and he's not a young man. He's been in this game for a little while. He's a serious dude, and he is not comfortable right now. Watch his body language, watch his hands, and listen to his voice.
Daniel Humbles, Sellinger, Miranda Gutenwright, the pages, the staff of the Legislative Assembly. Thanks to you all for your amazing teams, for extraordinary work that you do to serve the members. Special thanks to Lyle Fredrickson, Sergeant at Arms and his staff, to Steve Bata and his team. We very much appreciate what you do, always on call to respond and accommodate the building needs of the members and staff at any time. To Hansard team, Broadcast Services, the committees branch, we appreciate your many hours of recording, documenting, and facilitating the legislative process. Not always an easy job, especially during heated debate. Thank you to my staff, Sheila Sterling, Twyla Wilson, Nuli Mengo, and the summer student Danica Rodenbush for their support, especially during session when things can get chaotic. Thanks for keeping things running smoothly in the office. Thank you, Janet, my constituency assistant, for your diligence and hard work for the last 12 years. We have traveled many miles serving the constituents of bigger Sask Valley. Thank you to my constituents for having faith in me as your MLA, electing me 6 times. It has been an honor and a pleasure to serve. I would like to thank my wife, Cindy, and my family for their ongoing support for my role as an MLA and a speaker. Our families make great sacrifices so that we may serve the citizens of the province. Thank you. When a member is elected by his peers as speaker, they give up their voice in the assembly. They take an oath of impartiality to serve the needs of all members and parties. I would like to read the oath that I took when I became Speaker. Members of the Legislative Assembly, I wish to express my gratitude, thanks, and humble acknowledgement of the high honor and Assembly has conferred on me. While I leave the floor of this Assembly to take the Speaker's chair, I leave behind all political partisan biases in order that I may discharge with impartiality to all and to the best of my ability the various important duties pertaining to the high office of Speaker. It will be my aim and duty to uphold the principles and traditions of the Assembly and secure for each member the right to express his or her opinions within the limits necessary to preserve decorum, to recognize the rights and privileges of the honourable members, the political groups, and the Assembly itself, to facilitate the transaction of the public business in an orderly manner, and above all, to seek to be fair and impartial in the decisions you entrust in me.
So we'll just pause there for a second.
Mm-hmm.
This man is really struggling with this.
Yes.
I mean, this is not an easy thing for him to do, number one, and you can see how shaken he is by all of this.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say thanks again to Cassie for sending me this link and pointing this out to me. We really do appreciate it. We'll pick it up in just a second here, but I mean, this is an older white man who's been in politics for a while. He understands the game. He knows how it's played. And he is about to drop some truth bombs on you that if you have not seen this yet, you're going to be shocked by what he's about to say. Because I was flabbergasted, to say the least. And it's starting out, it's upsetting to see how upset he is, how his body language is, how his emotions are. You can hear the quiver in his voice. Now watch what happens.
I carried out my duties despite the behavior of the government leadership, which will I now take this opportunity to explain the challenges that I've had as Speaker. The signs of inappropriate behavior.
I wanted to stop here to, again, make the point here to kids in case they missed it. He is talking about how he is being treated by members of his own party.
Right. Not opposition members. Members of his own party.
The government House Leader. The Sask Party has a majority. the whole legislature votes for the speaker, but when a party has that big a majority, the speaker usually comes from the party that is also the government.
Mm-hmm.
He's talking about his own party.
And this is where it gets really dark, really fast.
Behavior by the government House Leader took place with a former speaker. The government House Leader, MLA for Meadow Lake, bragged that he could get the speaker to rule in any way that he wanted. There's plenty of evidence that did take place. The government House Leader would text the speaker how he should rule on a regular basis. The speaker resigned and ran federally. Speaker Mark Doherty would not bow to the intimidation from the government House Leader. Mark said he just shut off his cell phone. While I worked with Mark on the Board of Internal Economy, the government House Leader was talking about having the Speaker Doherty removed. When I became Speaker, the intimidating and harassing text messages began immediately, trying to influence my rulings. My experience with the government House Leader in the chambers includes threatening gestures. Whenever I ruled against him during session, he would start yelling at me and stand up and flash his suit jacket and storm out. An example of inappropriate behavior and attempting to influence me as a speaker is one of the hundreds of text messages government House Leader sent. The example of one of these text messages was sent on March 22nd, 2023, and I quote, "That's an absolute bullshit ruling, completely wrong, and Iris will tell you that." Iris referring to the clerk. I'll say it again, March 22nd, 2023, from the government House Leader concerning a ruling that I made. That's an absolute bullshit ruling, completely wrong, and Iris will tell you that. It soon got back to me that my removal as Speaker was discussed on a regular basis in the government caucus. Last fall, the government House Leader stopped sending inappropriate text messages to me, but continued sending them to the clerk. The government House Leader handed over the duty of texting me to the Deputy Government House Leader, MLA for Estevan. She especially harassed me during the emergency debate on the parental rights motion. And I'd like to read into the record a series of messages from the member from Estevan during that debate. On Monday the 16th, she texted, "Should she be speaking to the motion in front of her sitting hours? Just curious what leeway she had or has. Thank you. She is not on the motion. She will have an opportunity to speak to this when she actually speaks to the bill. Once again, if you want MS to speak to the bill, we will have a chance, but he needs to be speaking to the motion of extended hours and rules."
Look at how nervous this man is. This man is an emotional wreck right now, and this is what he does. And he's been doing this for a little while now.
Yeah, there's some interesting comments in there. It's when he said, Iris will tell you. It's like, oh, wait a minute. It's like, do they have control over the staff as well?
Well, it seems
Is
that
Iris supposed to keep the speaker in line?
It seems to me that the democracy is dead in Saskatchewan. By the way he's speaking.
Yeah, and now with this particular incident, as a result, of course, of the whole trans thing that's causing people to just lose complete mastery of themselves and to behave in this manner.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's appropriate.
Now it gets much worse. It's been bad up till now. Now it gets much worse.
Oh, and the member from Estevan, and in case anybody is wondering, because if you are living in Saskatchewan and you have an election coming up, it's a woman called Lori Carr. Yeah, by the way, this is he cut up. He means what's coming because he cut up his party membership card. That's Speaker Randy Weeks, but this one here, there, Mr. Grizzly, that up. Let's just make sure that people know who she is.
Honorable Lori Carr, Minister of Highways, MLA for Estevan.
Okay, what he's talking about, she did.
Right.
All right.
Let's go back to the clip. Why is it not? I gotta reshare it. For some reason, it just stopped working.
No worries. Oh, man.
Here we go. This is where it gets to be really disturbing.
Thank you. State of health care. This has nothing to do with the motion. Sorry to keep harping. On October 17th, she texted, "It's been pretty good today. Can you ask her to talk to the bill, please? I replied once, I said I did, and then she replied, but she is not listening. This is not about health care. The bill, please. This has nothing to do with the bill. Can you please bring her back to the bill? Thursday, October 19th, she texted me, you going to bring her back to the bill? Think about this. You going to bring her back to the bill? That's when I got up, as I've done many times, and handed the chair over to the Deputy Speaker. And as I went out that door, went down to the end, I'm going to go up by the government lounge like I do, because it's the shortest route to my office. There was a government staffer, sitting in a chair, only person out there. And as I went by the government lounge, as I passed the government lounge, Reg Downs, special advisor to the Premier, came out of the lounge and lunged at me, nearly hitting me, and stamped his feet very aggressively. It was obvious there was communication between the government deputy House Leader, the government staffer, and Reg Downs, who was waiting inside the government caucus lounge. This is not the first time I was threatened like this. Another MLA rushed me at a party function and came very close to headbutting me. The government House Leader leader of the MLA from Meadow Lake showed signs of inappropriate behavior from the time he was first elected. Misleading statements and out-and-out lies. He has been called out numerous times. He expects his staff to go to his home, pick up his clothes. He has trouble keeping staff. There's a revolving door of staff coming and going. But more disturbing is his obsession with guns and his use of intimidation, both verbally and physically.
This is where it gets extremely dark, very fast, giving people a trigger warning in advance to let you know that we're about to discuss some very strange behavior by a member of the Legislative Assembly of Saskatchewan, who I think needs to have an investigation by the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. My opinion. But when you hear what you're about to hear, I think you may very much agree.
His desire to get permission to carry a handgun in the Legislative Assembly is particularly disturbing. Another incident reported by a former special constable was when the government House Leader flaunted the rules concerning weapons when he brought a hunting rifle into the Legislative building. He owns many weapons, including a 223 AR style 4-shot clip, lightweight, which looks like an assault weapon. Weapons like these can be easily converted to more than 4 shots. As I stated before, my experience with the government House Leader includes threatening gestures. Whenever I rule against him in the Assembly, he will start yelling at me and standing up and flashing a suit jacket. As the gestures and behavior became more aggressive, I worried that he might be carrying a handgun. My concerns over his mental stability and his obsession with guns was only confirmed when he heckled after the passing of the motion to devolve all relevant parts of the Firearms Act to the province. He twice yelled, open carry next. Many people have asked me what I plan to do after politics. I have an opportunity to participate in international electoral observation missions around the world. But first, before I travel thousands of miles to support democracies facing challenges worldwide in recent decades, with the resurgence of populism and the increase in popularity of leaders with autocratic tendencies, I'm going to carry out the remainder of my term as Speaker right here in Saskatchewan, championing the electoral process and continue being the custodian of this institution and defend and protect our democracy. Saskatchewan is blessed with wonderful people, whether they are Indigenous or descendants of immigrants or newcomers who have only been living in Saskatchewan for a few years. Saskatchewan is also blessed with rich agricultural land, vast natural resources, and a first-class entrepreneurial spirit. Saskatchewan deserves a government that reflects those values, our province's values of honesty and integrity. Is it the pleasure of the Assembly to adopt the motion? Carried. This House now stands to the call of the Chair.
Wow.
Oh,
Like,
Wow.
wow. I mean, um, to say I'm flabbergasted is an understatement.
I'm just, my God, this is his own party.
Yep.
This is his own party. Okay. He also mentioned in that the deputy house leader. So again, Mr. Grizzly, since we're showing and telling,
Mm-hmm.
Sherry Romanado is her name. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Just go to the image there for a moment, Mr. Grizzly, before we show that clip.
Oh, image? Sorry, I don't.
Yeah.
have
Sorry.
that.
Yeah.
Which image? Sorry, let me.
I'm
just
sharing
stop
screen with you. Yeah.
Oh, you're sharing. Oh, my apologies. Yeah, since they changed the interface around, stuff doesn't show up. I have to go look for it now. It's a bit of a pain in the arse.
So Sherry Romanado, and I believe he also mentioned Jeremy Harrison.
Yes.
So that's this guy.
Yeah.
Right?
Darkness on the edge of town. My good Lord.
Yeah. It's almost like an Andrew Scheer clone.
Mm-hmm. You notice that, eh?
With those cute little cheeks.
Mm-hmm.
He looks so sweet. Yeah.
Makes me beg the question, what is going on in Saskatchewan?
Yep. Yeah, it's going really off the rails all of a sudden.
There's darkness, and then there's, excuse me? What?
Yeah.
Are we getting into threats and intimidation of a member of your own party who is the Speaker of the House because he's actually doing his job correctly and you don't like it because you want to strong arm him into doing what you want to do? That is not democracy.
Mm-hmm. We got Cassie that in the chat added a couple of things, and Mo wouldn't stick up for him. The Saskatchewan Party House leader, Jeremy Harrison, is dangerous. If he takes over for Mo, he will make Danielle Smith look like a saint.
Mm-hmm.
The Saskatchewan Conservatives made sure this man lost his writing nomination because he wouldn't go along with their agenda. So there was retribution. That's why he's going on and going to be doing some electoral missions somewhere else, because I guess he can't run again. And the jacket flash that he was talking about with Jeremy Hansen, that's a sign for a conceal and carry.
Yeah, it's like, it's just opening your jacket to show that you have a piece.
Yeah.
That's the idea. That's what he's doing.
You might want to be careful what you say.
Yeah.
I've got a little friend here.
Yeah. Yeah. This is...
And so this is going on in Saskatchewan. People doing it to the members of their own party to keep them in line. And then, remember, it wasn't that long ago in Alberta that some people had judges tailed during the pandemic. Let's tail a judge and see if the judge is respecting all the lockdown stuff so that we can... This is...
Darkness on the Edge of Town. That's a Bruce Springsteen album, by the way, but you know what I mean? It's like, really...
What did I say? He brought, like Cassie, exactly. I was just about to say it when you typed it. He brought a rifle to the legislature.
Yeah.
Why is he still in the seat?
He should be gone. I'm sorry.
That should be instant gone.
Instant. Expulsion. Gone.
You're
out of the party. You're out of the legislature.
Vote in the legislature the very next day, and if it wasn't in session, then an emergency session called where the whole legislature gets up and they say, you're out.
Should you be showing pictures of these MPs? Couldn't this possibly stoke hate and put them in danger? Didn't they just threaten the life of the Speaker of the Legislative Assembly? They need to be investigated.
No. Yeah, I agree. So should you show this? Like, it's not.
They're public people.
Well, no, but that's not it. It's when someone calls out threats and intimidation.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, to ask them afterwards, should you be doing this? Because couldn't that stoke hate and put them in danger? I was like, no, that puts the onus on the victim.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
This person, because Yes, he's intimidating Mr. Weeks. Yes. But he's also screwing over the entire population of the province when he's doing that.
And his party in the process.
Because he's not doing it to Mr. Weeks just as a private citizen. He's doing it in his capacity as Speaker.
In the Legislative Assembly.
In the Legislative Assembly. That's an attack on the entire citizenship.
Completely different levels to this, right? It's not like two guys in a pub arguing and having a heated conversation, and one guy flashes like, I'll give you one of these. But this is done in government.
But this is like saying, like, if someone assaults you, because, well, should you report it to the police? Because when there's an interaction with the police, sometimes things happen.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, no. If something wrong was done to you and you call it, not calling it out because that might raise hate towards other people, that doesn't. Now, how you call it out, of course, as we always say on the show, it ain't what you do, it's the way that you do it. But people doing this need to be known because they're running for elected office and people need to know not to vote for them.
Mm-hmm.
If you can't talk about the bad stuff that people do for fear that it might bring hate upon them, then you're just giving them license to do bad stuff because we'll never talk about it.
It has to be called out. It has to be called out. It
has to be. Because you can't do that.
It's not
that's the exact same thing as saying, well, don't pass that thing because the people on the extreme right or the people on the extreme left might protest.
Left.
They're going to protest anyway.
Yes.
Do the right thing.
Do the right thing.
Because if you don't do something, like you said, like this, I don't want my decision to be politically influenced. Okay. Oh, I'm not going to make this decision because it might spark a protest.
Mm-hmm.
That's allowing the decision to be politically influenced.
And you know, the thing that is astonishing to me is this is within the party in power.
This is how they treat each other.
Yeah. How do you
this
think
is the reason why we're bringing it up, right? Exactly.
If this is how they treat each other, they're in the same party, they're the governing party in power, and this is how they treat one of their own, because one of their own refuses to fall in line with their iron-fisted ways of doing things, actually does his job as the speaker and rules correctly, as is governed by the rules within the legislature. When he does things correctly and they don't like it, they threaten and intimidate him. Well, that is no longer democracy.
It's attacking democracy.
Yes, it is.
Can't have that. So please, yes, I feel there's more to this story. Sounds weird. There's definitely more to the story because he literally said he's talking about an incident where he was going into another room and I guess there was like 2 or 3 people waiting for him and it wasn't the first time.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're like walking to a room and there's like a couple people waiting there for you and they're all angry, and you had better, especially in the context where you have a person from the other side going, hey, rule right or open carry and ask Iris. Iris will tell you.
Yeah.
Iris will tell you you ruled wrong. Your staff will tell you you ruled wrong. Cassie goes and Scott Moe said meh. All right, there's a small report on Global News yesterday for it that I want to play because it seems that the speaker was interviewed and had a few comments.
Okay, let me just pull up.
It's short. It's fewer than 2 minutes, but there's a clip.
I just have to share the screen. Bear with me. Here we go. Oh, it helps if I turn on the sound. I find it works
From
better.
the Sask.
Let's try it again.
Accusations and name-calling stole the focus away from the Sask Party's classroom care and communities investments and their farewell speeches for the final day of the legislative spring sitting. Legislative House Speaker Randy Weeks ended the final day accusing multiple Sask Party members of bullying him.
When I became Speaker, the intimidating and harassing text messages began immediately, trying to influence my rulings.
He put a lot of focus on actions from Minister Jeremy Harrison and accused him in the House of requesting to bring a gun into the Assembly.
His desire to get permission to carry a handgun in the Legislative Assembly is particularly disturbing.
Premier Scott Moe says he doesn't know if this is true and called everything Weeks said in the chamber baseless.
It's disappointing, I would say, at the very least, because if there are true concerns there, they've just developed since he lost a nomination, and he's never talked to me about it. And so at this point, I can't attribute it to anything more than just, sour grapes that he wasn't successful in the nomination.
Weeks says it's his job as House Speaker to be unbiased and not swayed by any members of the House, no matter how hard they may try. He says Moe should have been aware of what was going on.
They serve at the pleasure of the Premier. He's sitting there. He sees it. He hears it.
Despite the upheaval in the chamber for the final day of the spring sitting, ministers and critics are now preparing their campaigns for the upcoming election set to take place in the fall. Catherine Ludwig, Global News.
Okay, wait a minute. Scott Moe just literally said, I don't know if it's true, but it's baseless.
What a shit given.
Like literally, he said, I don't know if it's true, a couple of words, and then it's baseless. Like there wasn't even like 40 seconds between the two statements.
No.
Oh, I don't know if it's true like this, but these things are baseless. I'm like, well, if you don't know if it's true, you can't know if they're baseless. And therefore, you can't know that it's sour grapes. It's just, oh my God. And what a terrible reaction.
Oh, yeah. Brutal.
Well, I don't know if it's true, so, doody-doody-doody-doo. Let's just keep on business as usual. I mean, but hey, we have Scott Moe, literally one-man crime spree, currently breaking the law right now. By not collecting the tax, by not collecting the carbon fees, and claiming he won't remit them. So, it's not like it's not like he's the most his word in French, fria. It's not coming to me in English now. Doesn't have the most affection for following the law as it is written, but more like he would rather it to be. So yeah, Kits and Cubs. And then, of course, Kitlinda M points out in the chat, too, that if you listen to the most recent O Show with Laura Babcock, you'll have Charlie Angus talking about his experiences. Because he's done it federal. He's released some stuff that he's got to do. And yeah. So, and I believe Kit Trent had also asked something, and I was looking it up for you. Asked about, there we go, how old is the MP and how long has he been an MP? Most violent people have a history of violence. Maybe he's done things like this before. That's a very good question. People should look into it. Jeremy Harrison is 46, and he's been a member of the legislature since 2007. Sherry Romanado is 50 and has been a member of the legislature. Sorry. That's the wrong. Sorry. Sherry Romanado. Forget that. There was, I need to issue a correction on myself. There was a computer error. I asked for the Deputy House Leader of Saskatchewan, and it gave me the Deputy House Leader of the House of Commons. So, sorry. That is incorrect information. Correcting myself there. And then the lady from Estevan, I haven't had a chance to look up yet, but hopefully I will during the show.
Lori was her name? Lori?
Yeah, Lori something. Carr.
Lori Carr.
So, but we're talking about, in the legislature since 2007, since 2015. Lori Carr was elected to the legislature in 2016. So, they all have at least 8 years experience in the legislature. So they're not new. They're not new. Oh my God. I am really, really, really disturbed by this.
Yes.
Because this should not be happening. What, and even like add this to what like Doug Ford has been doing in Ontario with regard to mayors, what Danielle Smith is doing.
Mm-hmm.
The rule is, the social contract is that we vote.
Yeah.
And whatever the result is, that
We
person
accept.
goes to Parliament.
We might
or
not
City
like the
Hall.
result, but we accept it.
Yeah. Or legislator, and is allowed to do their job on behalf of all the constituents as freely as they can, so that they're able to speak. For example, we have cabinet confidences so that people can speak as candidly as humanly possible about matters literally of life and death on an entire population of a nation. Because if you're supposed to be able to speak freely without intimidation
Mm-hmm.
in cabinet and have cabinet confidence so that even the public doesn't even know the real tone and tenor of what was said, if there was swearing, if there were arguments, if there were fights, because that's cabinet secrets when you're hashing it out.
Yes.
It's supposed to get passionate and all that kind of stuff. That's where you put all the dirty laundry out and you don't air it in public. And then you come to a solution. Once you come to a solution, everybody buys in and you run with it and you sell it. But the messy stuff gets done behind closed doors.
Indeed.
Well, in order to be able to represent the views and serve the entirety of the population of your electoral district, you have to be able to do that without intimidation, because this time on this thing, I voted to do something for not you, or something that you didn't prefer. The next time I might do, but this time I didn't. But here it seems that with the Saskatchewan Party, you're supposed to do the thing that I want 100% of the time. And we see that in social media too. Right? It's like, you see this, you watch hosts of shows, for example, that they like, and then they say one thing one day that somebody doesn't agree with, and then all of a sudden they're on the warpath. Your elected representative or your favorite journalist or your favorite podcast host or your favorite celebrity your favorite athlete is not going to say something you agree with 100% of the time. And if you think it is your job as an elected official, member, a citizen, a fan, a member of the public, whatnot, to keep the people that you follow in line when they stray from your point of view, when their job is to entertain everyone or legislate for everyone or present the news to everyone. That's not okay. And it's a very unrealistic expectation.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get to program other people.
No.
You get to program yourself. You want a show that says everything that you want to say all the time, start your own.
Exactly.
You want a politician that says what you want them to say all the time, run for something.
Mm-hmm.
But don't stand there or sit there and say, you know what? I like this person. I'm going to follow them. And then 4 or 5, 6 months later, it's like, oh, well, we finally found one thing on which we disagree. Now you must die and be destroyed. You'll never have anyone from the long run if you do that, because nobody else is you. So nobody else is going to agree with you 100% of the time on everything. These are unrealistic expectations. We do not live in a world in which we only get choices we like, in which we only get to hear the things we like. Because I know that we have technology is allowing us to curate our worlds in such a way that we never have to be exposed to anything we don't ever like, ever. I guess. And then the odd time when something seeps in, oh my God, I can't handle it. It must be stamped out. But, like, come on, man. Come on. We need to gain a little bit of mastery over ourselves here.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody out there lives to serve just you 100% of the time. Unless they're on your personal payroll. And even then, there are laws. So you can't do what you want. And you can't expect people to do what you want 100% of the time. And for political parties to be doing this, members of political parties to be doing this to each other. To each other. In the same party, in the same movement, and then them running for office and say, but no, don't look at how we treat our own kind behind closed doors. We will do right by you. Give us your vote and send us money. If they treat each other like this, they've got nothing for you. Don't vote for assholes.
Period.
Don't vote for people who want to bring guns into the legislature so that they can keep the speaker in line. And don't vote for any other person who sits next to them on those benches and says nothing while that happens. Or even worse, like the premier tries to explain it away. Don't vote for these people.
Indeed.
They will not be there for you.
They don't care about you.
They've clearly shown if somebody can sit in the legislature and try to intimidate the speaker to move their impartiality into puppetry, that person who does that is doing something to you as well as a citizen of that province. They are not there to help you. That is not their primary concern. We need to start demanding better.
Oh, yes. Undoubtedly.
It comes from us. We're in it. I keep on saying it on this show often. There's an inherent conflict of interest in being an elected official in that you get to determine as a legislator which of your behaviors are criminal or not, which of your behaviors are ethical or not, and what are the sanctions for violating those. Until politicians, as far as I'm concerned, the first party that runs on, you know what, we're going to impose harder rules on ourselves, wins. We just had the whole loophole thing yesterday. All the people who did that. Oh, well, I guess we'll write a check and reimburse it.
Yeah.
You tried to. In what other universe do you fraudulently take money from your employer, then get caught and say, oh, well, Cal, just put it back and let me keep my job? Like, that does not happen. But those are the rules because they made the rules that govern their own behavior. That's an inherent conflict of interest. So until we, the actual bosses, because write those letters and have those meetings and tell them to have their performance reviews, and you say, hey.
Settle down.
Not settle down, but you guys need to pass some stuff that when you guys do this, this happens.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody brings a gun to the legislature, you have a session that very day or the next day, and you expel them or censure them.
Oh, yes.
Or as a caucus, you kick them out. He's still a member of the damn caucus.
Mm-hmm.
His own peers. Like this, the peer pressure to keep in line is supposed to be peer pressure to be the person that's doing the business of the entire population. Not trying to co-opt your own party members into doing what you personally want. This is not okay. This is not okay. If you believe in democracy, this is not okay. There needs to be more that happens from this. There needs to be more.
Indeed.
And I'm sorry, if there isn't some investigation going on right now on this Jeremy Harrison person,
There damn well should be. Hey, RCMP, we're calling you out. Can you look into this fella? Because it sounds like some of his activities are illegal.
Superintendent Mike Duheme, you were talking?
Yeah.
It's like, I know you were talking about protecting MPs from the public. Seems you need to protect elected officials from each other. This is not cool. Yeah, Cassie, Brad Wall saw this takeover coming in the party, and so that's why he retired. I'm not surprised.
Yeah. The inmates have taken over the asylum is what this boils down to, right?
And I don't have much love for Brad Wall either.
No. But I mean, even Jason Kenney said the inmates cannot run the asylum.
Yep.
And look what happened to him.
But they opened that door.
Oh, yeah.
Jason Kenney, by being that loudmouth politician for 20 years who kept on bashing and couldn't find anything good about anything. Yes. That's what happens 20 years later.
Mm-hmm.
You raise that, and then it gets turned against you. You become premier of your province with a majority, and you get booted before your term is over.
Well, a buddy of mine pointed me to an article I read back in about 2015, I think it was, maybe 2016, something like that. And what it was at the time was the Republican Party. Somebody within the party had said, okay, we created this mess. We created Trumpenstein. Trumpenstein is loose. The Trumpenstein monster is loose in the village, and he's stomping on the villagers, and we created this mess. It's like the people who created the Lincoln Foundation were former Republican Party staffers who said, we're at fault for this. This was our doing. We created this. They fully admit it.
Mm-hmm.
They admit, we created this monster.
We built this machine.
We built it, and we realized, oh crap, we let it get out of control. Now the monster is running things, which is why they're trying to tear it down, because they came, thankfully, they had I don't know if you want to call it a come to Jesus moment, a light bulb moment, a moment of clarity where they realized, we're destroying democracy, and we built the system that will do it. It's the same thing. Kenney built the system that would destroy himself. They're eating their own. It was David Parker from Take Back Alberta who said, I will make sure you are pulled out of that position.
And now David Parker's created a system that's currently eating him.
Yes. Yeah. When you play in the mud, you're going to get dirty. When you jump into a pool of piranhas and you have a few scrapes and cuts and you're putting a little bit of blood in the water, you're chumming the waters, you're going to get eaten alive.
Mm-hmm. Got Kit Trent here, who's got random fact: the length between two parties in the House of Parliament is 3 sword length.
Yes,
I remember. Now you're speaking to my heart as a debater. Because when I was on the national team and all that,
to the UK, right?
Yes, and that's why, for example, like when you're talking, like when people are in the House of Commons and they have a pen in their hand, and they go like this, and somebody says, point of order.
Mm-hmm.
That's why, because back in the day, people used to debate with their swords and they would talk like this. So it was always, X number of links so that you couldn't accidentally stab your opponent. So like this. So now that's why, for example, you're not allowed to have objects in your hand. Somebody could actually, like, if you've got a good flow going, somebody can rise on a point of order and spill your flow because, oh my God, this is a weapon and you're threatening me. That's the part of the parliamentary tradition it comes down from. So yeah, thanks for mentioning that, Trent. Because it's supposed to be adversarial.
Yes. But respectful, which is why it's 3 sword lengths, right? So you can't actually.
And that's why they're allegedly called honorable. That's why the stuff like this, calling people a liar, saying people that they associate, that's why these things are considered unparliamentary language, because it's supposed to be adversarial, but in honor and with honor.
Well, at one point in time, it was gentlemen behaving like gentlemen. You know, there's rugby.
Oh, they said some stuff back then too.
Yes.
Like, because if you read those, like,
If
you think that invective is like, it's only just now that invective is like, no,
This
that's
has been
always
going on
been the
forever.
case. Jeez, like this. But now we got technology and we have it on. It's basically on hyperspeed.
Yes, it's real time.
24/7 channeled right into your brain. And but yeah, I mean this gentlemen not being exactly gentlemanly to each other.
Well, what
is
is it?
not a new thing.
The gentlemanly sport is rugby, correct?
Yes,
and
because you don't have the padding.
Well,
so they're like this. You hit hard, but you hit fair.
Well, you tackle. You don't hit. That's the difference.
Well, yeah,
You tackle.
Yes.
You do not hit in rugby. Number one. Number two, you do not question the rule of the official. When the official approaches you, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay, sir. And you go to the sin bin, and you do not question it. You do not put up a fight. It's a gentlemanly sport played by brutes, and that's just the tradition for rugby. And a lot of women play rugby now too. Would they say it's the ladies' sport played by brutes, or is it still like the gentlemanly sport? I don't know. And I'm just, I'm not trying to.
I don't know what the term, the generic term for gentleman, gentlewoman together is.
I don't know. And the thing that comes to that makes me think of that is, are you a fisher or a fisherman? And I know women in the East Coast who are, I'm a fisherman. Don't call me a fisher. And I'm like, okay, whatever you want to be called, I'll play right along. I have no issue with that whatsoever. Anyway, that's kind of a side topic, but squirrel.
Cascos, thanks lads for sharing this, because this is what will happen under a federal conservative government. Yes.
Yeah.
But we've seen it.
Yes.
We've seen it. As soon as Pierre Poilievre became elected leader, what happened to Alain Rayes?
Yeah.
They literally sent messages to people in his electoral district telling them not to vote for him.
Yeah. You want to talk dirty pool?
Their own kind.
Yeah.
Their own person. But he supported Josh Charest. So he had to go.
Yeah, I don't have his unwavering loyalty.
Pierre Poilievre's first move as party leader was to sick the dogs on one of their own, and take this through, and then turn around and says, "Oh, we don't know how that mass email went out to only the people in his riding by accident, with the message from us saying we don't know how that." It's like, oh my God, we don't know how that message got out. It's like, how did that message get written?
Oh, must have been an.
There should have never been anything to get out in the first place. Oh yeah, some rogue staffer. Oh yeah, so I guess, and then so they wrote it, but why did they write it in that text message service? They could have wrote it in Word. Still no. They could have wrote it in an email. Wouldn't have gone on as a mass text. So somebody the message happened to get written, and it happened to get written on that platform, and it happened to get sent. But nobody knows how that happened.
Everybody's just.
I don't know how MGTOW hashtag got on all my videos for X number of years.
Yeah. I don't know how that happened.
It's amazing how they never know how any of these things happen. And then when you add on that the layers, you got what just happened to Sabrina Mado. And then you get the fact that we're hearing about maybe the leader of the current official opposition had a little help from India. There was a fourth arrest, by the way.
Oh, yes.
For the assassination of Hardeep Singh Nijjar. So, I mean, there is a lot of stuff. Yeah, Michael Pilon reminds me of Not Me, Ghost in the Family Star cartoon. Who did it? Not me. Like, poor Not Me. Go, oh, damn, they blame everything on me.
I mean, wasn't me. Wasn't me. Makes me think of Shaggy. Wasn't me.
Wasn't me. we need to be vigilant, kids. Mr. Grizzly, do we have a show? Because we got a little long for weekday, a midweekday.
This is Friday.
Oh, it's so I am so messed up.
I'm like, what are you talking about?
This week?
This is Friday, dude.
I thought we were.
We're an hour in, and it's
I know.
Friday.
I remember I said at the beginning, today is Friday. So I got completely lost. I thought I'm watching the thing and he's going to tell me it's time to wrap up soon. It's 8:05. It's 8:06. It's 8:07. It's okay. Do you have to go to work?
Yeah, I'm working from home this morning. I have to go in at noon. I have a meeting this afternoon.
Well then, kids, settle in.
I'm like, what? What are you doing?
I have finally arrived. Hold on a second.
It's Friday,
Hi,
dude.
I'm here. It's Friday. How you doing? Y'all look lovely. Oh boy. I better remember my lines tonight. I don't even remember what day it is. Like during the show. I lost track of the show during the show. That takes some doing. It's just all right. Well then, since we have a bit more time, oddly enough, not too much more wildfire news today. So I'm guessing that there's been no major change, that there has been some better weather. But what I listened to this morning, seriously, the last couple of days, every piece of news that I'm listening to from the Canadian side, the first 2 to 3 minutes is wildfire stuff.
Yeah.
Like this was I listened to both the news on the hour, every hour, the 5 and the 10-minute report, the national and the international. There was not a mention of them at all.
Oh, really?
This morning. Yeah, which is kind of interesting. So I'm guessing that things have been relatively stable. But because remember yesterday when I said that the planet, scientists were able to determine that the planet was not only the hottest since 1850, the time of keeping records, but since forever. It seems that this year temperatures are already been so high that 2024 is already guaranteed to be one of the five hottest years on the record globally. And we're only May 17th.
Last year was the hottest globally, and this year I'm sure we'll surpass it.
Yeah. So a little bit of updates that I had like from parts yesterday, but there's nothing new this morning. In northern BC, rain has helped the firefighters battling the 2 blazes near Fort Nelson. We have the Parker Lake Fire and the Petrie Lake Fire. Evacuees from the region are waiting to see when it is that they can come home. Rain was falling in evacuated Fort Nelson, so that's some good news there. And there is the weather has dipped a bit, so it's been a little colder, which will probably help. But there's extremely smoky conditions, which is making it a little tricky to fight. The city has taken in 3,000 evacuees. Hotels are at capacity. The local Denny's reports that they ran out of burgers as they struggled to keep up with the number of people coming in for a meal. But that's what happens when all of a sudden you've got all the people that might have to leave certain places to go to others, especially if it's a place that people have already collected to the first time. Then all of a sudden when you have like 7, 8, 40,000 people just all arriving at once, you haven't pre-ordered burgers. They may take a couple of days to arrive. So there are stresses on the system when there are quick influxes of people like that. But the community is rallying. Businesses are offering free coffee, discounted services, entertainment for children. The local movie theater even actually opened up to show the Canucks game, Canucks Oilers game last night, and served some popcorn to try to get people to, just not be bored, because there's really nothing to do when you've left everything and you're in evacuation. It's not like, hey, let's go. Well, since we're on holiday, that's not actually the vibe there going on. So the rainy conditions have helped firefighters corral the Parker Lake fire. The fire service says it's not enough to put it down in its entirety, but it may help a lot. In Manitoba, Cranberry Portage, because we didn't have more news on yesterday's show, the residents are waiting for word as to when they could return to their homes, but there was an announcement yesterday from the federal government they had some people in Winnipeg, and they announced $20 million to be able to help with firefighting in the future. That will help Manitoba purchase advanced equipment to help manage the increased wildfire risk. So that's been going on. It seems that the federal government is putting more and more money into making sure that individual regions are able to get the equipment and the staff and the stuff that they need in order to be able to fight these, because we're going to have to start building some better infrastructure for this, because this looks like it's going to start becoming an annual thing.
And what does that infrastructure require? A very important ingredient, money. And if Pierre Poilievre ever gets elected, if his party ever forms government and he ascends to the position of prime minister, we might find ourselves in a little bit of problem with money to fight things like that, because here's a clip from Yarrow Giesbrecht, and that I want you to watch and listen to this.
I'm very hesitant to spend taxpayers' money on anything other than the core services of roads, bridges, police, military, border security, and a safety net for those who can't provide for themselves. That's common sense. Let's bring it home. I'm very hesitant to spend tax.
So that means no pharmacare, no dental care, no child care. You're on your own. Well, is he gonna provide the provinces with money to fight these wildfires that have gone out of control? I just don't know with this guy, man.
Jeez.
I'm not sure where that was, Ree. I don't know. Wherever gas is $1.99 a liter. Yeah, that was real. That was real, Trent. He really said that.
Oh my God. So yeah.
And a social safety net for those who can't provide for themselves. What does that mean? Could you be a little bit more specific? Because the social safety net is already there, and it's not enough. So.
And he wants to take from it.
Yes.
So he believes in a social safety net. I think he's just believing that it provides too much.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. That's the thing. He didn't say to make sure that there is a social safety net that provides like this, but he does every time he comes out. He says that social net is providing too much. So there you go.
Oh, and Tavi just sent me a link here from this is from the National Observer. Ontario passes bill to lend Enbridge a helping hand. So more corporate welfare. To help Enbridge lock gas customers in for decades to come, Premier Doug Ford's government on Wednesday overrode Ontario's independent energy regulator and passed the Keeping Energy Costs Down Act. The legislation gives the provincial government authority to reverse a decision from the Ontario Energy Board, disallowing Enbridge from funding a major gas expansion by increasing rates on existing customers for decades to come. The move effectively strips the regulator of its arm-length role, because the government will now have the authority to thumb the scales when faced with decisions it doesn't like. So democracy is dying right in front of our eyes.
Jeez. God. Oh my God. And there was another that's the Enbridge thing. Yeah, I remember there's something about that. I'm going to have to read more about that, because it was they actually passed a law as well somewhere in the way to make it so that Enbridge could keep on getting some business that it wouldn't be entitled to otherwise or something. I remember reading about that. I can't remember what the details of that are off the top of my head. About the wildfire funding announcement, because I didn't have the information in front of me when I mentioned it, but I have it now. It was Canada's Minister of Emergency Preparedness, Harjit Sajjan, who was at the Manitoba Legislature yesterday to announce $19.2 million in federal, $19.2 million with provincial government matching that figure for a total of $38.4. Thank you, Premier Canoe. The money will come over 4 years under a federal fund that helps provinces and territories purchase wildland firefighting equipment. Quote, this cost share program has been critical for our counterparts to produce essential resources such as vehicles, mobile units, avionic upgrades, hoses, pumps, and communications equipment, said the minister. The money comes after an early start to the province's wildfire season last week when flames broke out near Cranberry Portage, displacing more than 675 people from their homes. According to the province, the fire has grown to 37,000 hectares as of Thursday. It's one of the 114 wildfires burning in Canada, with 26 considered out of control. Minister Sajjan says that last year's wildfire season, which was the most catastrophic in the country's history, showed what the future could look like if Canada fails to address the existential threat of climate change. Quote, "It is having a devastating impact, and this year we are already seeing the rapid spread and escalation of wildfires spanning from Fort Nelson, BC to Flin Flon, Manitoba." And it seems that Manitoba's Minister of Economic Development, Investment, Trade and Natural Resources, Jamie Moses, says that a team from the province is on the ground helping to support firefighting efforts and evacuees forced to flee their homes. Quote, "This is an early kickoff to our 2024 wildfire season, earlier than anticipated." It seems that there's also a closed section of railway in the area, shutting down all rail travel between Cranberry Portage and Pukatawagan to the north, and the line is used to transport essential items. Moses says his office has been in communication with local government about the line. Quote, "I understand that there have been recent supplies sent up to the community, and we are also in contact with the group that's doing the work to repair the line, and that repair is going on right now." When asked about concerns evacuees paid out of pocket for food and lodging, a provincial spokesperson said those people will be reimbursed. Quote, "Checks are already being distributed to people in hotels who paid out of pocket, and folks who are more vulnerable had more immediate supports provided. Hotels are being provided with funds directly now, so nobody is having to pay up front, and per diems for food are being provided. We will continue to offer supports as the situation progresses." Government of Manitoba being extremely responsive.
Well,
That's how you do it.
way to go, Wob.
That's how you do it. You got to give the credit where it's due.
Yeah, no,
That's
absolutely.
the example.
Yeah.
They came with matching funds for the future, I guess, and already in a couple of days, the system is set up so that people get the funding so they don't have to be more out of pocket. Because the last thing when this is going on is you want some additional work. Nobody says, "Hey, give me additional worries." At this time. This is a government that's being responsive. I like it. I like it. So just give me more of that peace, order, and good government.
Yeah, no, hell yeah. My computer is going haywire right now. I don't know what it's doing.
Oh,
I don't know what's going on.
no worries.
It's literally going haywire. I can't. I have no control over anything. It seems it's just finicky.
That's all right. Just a little tidbit, because yesterday we talked about Adrian Platursky and Colin Murphy, who were both arrested and charged with fraud over $5,000. Platursky was also charged with laundering proceeds of crime. A little bit of tidbit. I don't have much to say about it, but I just thought it was an interesting fact. But according to news reports I heard yesterday, it seems that more than 100 investors came forward to complain because, they were bilked of about $40 million.
Mm-hmm.
But some were even accused of kidnapping and torturing Platursky in an attempt to recover their money.
Yeah.
They found him kidnapped.
Mm-hmm. Crazy, right?
Law and Order Toronto?
Mm-hmm.
Jeez.
Have you seen that yet? I haven't seen it yet.
I saw the first episode, which I did like.
Is it on Global or CTV? Which one is it on?
City TV.
City. Okay, I'll have to look
City
it up.
TV. And it was a crypto thing.
Oh,
that's why I thought that Samuel Bankman-Fried for yesterday was Canadian, because it seemed very similar, but it wasn't him. It was the crypto guy that who had just vanished, and he had all the key codes to the money with them, and they don't know if he faked his death. They didn't know if he had for a while if he had faked his death or not. In the episode, they had found the body, so it wasn't a faked death, I think, if I remember correctly. But yeah, so that's gotten a little spicy.
Mm-hmm. Indeed.
I don't know what that's about. I didn't have time to research it, but they found him, kidnapped him, and tortured him.
Give me my money.
And then, but here's the thing. Well, I guess after they found, kidnapped him, and tortured him, I guess they couldn't turn him into the police because they found him, kidnapped him, and tortured him.
And
It's
he
like,
would
hi, we got him for you. We did all this stuff. Just don't charge us for that, though.
don't ask us about where those scars came from.
Because I was just about to say, why didn't they just turn? Oh yeah, they tortured him and kidnapped him. Yeah, that's why they didn't turn him in.
I have an interesting story here for you from the CBC. This was posted at 4 a.m. today.
Okay.
This is really, you're going to like this. This is really cool. I'm going to put this on the screen and I'll read about it a little bit because this is proactive and way to go, Yukon. Fireproofing an entire city, how Yukon is working to protect its capital. Work began in 2020 on a fuel break intended to be a permanent line of defense against wildfire from the south. They're building like proactive. They know the fires are going to happen, so they're building a massive permanent fuel break among the first in Canada. It's one tool intended to slow any encroaching wildfire by removing fuel-like trees and shrubs from the landscape or replacing them with slower-burning deciduous species. It could also give wildfire fighters a safe space to work and defend Whitehorse. The White House South Fuel Break is located in the most vulnerable area along the southwestern edge of the city. So far, nearly 400,000 hectares have been cleared. Once finished in 2032, the fuel break will span 20 kilometers. I'm like, that's forward thinking.
Nice.
I'll put a link to that in the chat if anybody wants to get into reading. It's I'm just going to put it in here. And what is going on with it? Yeah, there we go.
Other news today. We hadn't mentioned it on the show yet, but a couple of weeks ago, it seems that Canadians decided that they were going to boycott Loblaws.
Yes.
And it seems that didn't make the people at Loblaws very, very, very happy. Because as soon as this was kind of mentioned, Loblaws CEO came up and basically got upset and said, "Enough is enough."
Well, what was it? What was his take this in the first quarter of this year? 22 million?
I'm not sure. I don't have those numbers off the top of my head, but I'm sitting there and it's like, enough is enough. You're beating up on us. You're being too harsh and unfair. And if you ever heard the expression, or if you ever seen the hashtag knock, N-O-K-E-R-N-O-K, that's basically enough is enough in Danish. Because the Loblaw CEO, Per Banks, speaks Danish. It's his native tongue. He made the statement. He used it on April 22nd. That's why I'm saying it's about a month now. Quote, "This turn of phrase feels appropriate lately as misconceptions about our role in the ongoing food affordability crisis continues," wrote Bank. The statement, titled "Real Talk, Standing Up for Our Colleagues and Our Business," was shared by an anonymous Loblaw worker in a subreddit. Loblaws is out of control, which is also the community that organized the boycott. In it, the CEO addresses the looming protest of what he claims is misinformation being spread online in the media and by politicians about the grocery giant. Quote, "It feels like there's no room for truth," reads the statement. And he puts in a statement. There it is. "We have a saying in my native Denmark, nok nok, which loosely translated means enough is enough. This turn of phrase feels appropriate lately as misconceptions about our role in the ongoing food affordability crisis continue. In visiting stores across the country, I know you feel the same. I've heard you say repeatedly that the misinformation being spread online in the media and by politicians is difficult to counteract. It feels like there's no room for the truth. Don't get me wrong, food prices are unquestionably a serious concern, and many Canadians are struggling to make ends meet. We're hearing people who usually aren't even our customers, by the way, calling for boycotts." Goes on and goes on and goes on. Like this. And so people have been starting to take the knock and making a hashtag on it. And then the embarrassments continued. And even though Loblaws was going around saying, you better not try to boycott us. And then, of course, they brought in all those, barriers so that apparently you can't escape after, going in there and putting your own food in your cart and then going to the self-checkout and checking yourself out and bagging your own stuff. And then, so you've done all the work, and now you've got all these barriers because, of course, you're assumed to be a thief.
Yeah.
Because that's always a pleasant shopping experience. Right?
Yeah, so let me see if I get this correct. I have to scan my own groceries. I have to bag my own groceries. I have to pay for the bag if I didn't bring one, and I don't get a discount for doing the work that somebody used to be paid to do. Somehow we got roped into doing this.
Yeah. So the federal government has been talking about a grocer's code of conduct for a while, and they didn't want to sign on to it. Right? According to the CBC, Mike Von Masso, who's a food economist, says that for a code of conduct to be effective, you need the biggest players to participate. The whole point of the grocery code of conduct is to set some ground rules for retailers around how they deal with their suppliers. But, he says, the rules only work if everyone's following them. In December, both Loblaws and Walmart said they were concerned the code would lead to higher prices. I'm concerned that the code will lead to higher prices, which would mean more profits for us, said no grocer ever.
Well, the new CEO, because Galen stepped down, right? The new CEO of Loblaws, his name is Per Bank.
Yeah, Per Bank.
Well, spelled B-A-N-K.
Yes, B-A-N-K.
And
he's the guy he's the enough is enough guy.
Yeah, he received $22.1 million in compensation in 2023.
22 enough is enough, Per.
Yeah.
That's enough compensation. That's more than enough compensation. But now it seems that Loblaw says its concerns have been dealt with.
I don't believe them.
And it's ready to sign on.
Again, I don't believe them.
The economist Mike Van Masso says, that seems to be too big of coincidence that Loblaws has suddenly seen the light on a grocery code of conduct 2 weeks into a consumer boycott of their stores. Loblaws says the two events are unrelated.
Mm-hmm. Sure it is.
Walmart says it only just now received a copy of the latest draft and is still looking at it. Mm-hmm. Federal Minister of Agriculture has called on the remaining large grocery chains to sign on the code. It's expected to take effect next June. It seems that voting with your dollar and maybe a higher ratio of unflattering word of mouth through social media and one-on-one actually has an impact.
Go figure.
Imagine that. All we need is to be a little bit more organized and disciplined. They bend.
Oh, yes.
They will bend. Exactly. Carol De Lorenzi. One by one, they sign, we shop. Yep. You get to decide who gets your money. Give it to people who deserve it. It's funny how it makes people realign their priorities and values. Just saying. Oh, man. I tell you. According to François-Philippe Champagne, he says that the grocery code of conduct has... He said that he has spoken again to the leadership of Loblaws and has told them in no uncertain terms that that's what Canadians expect now after months of negotiation and blah, blah, and blah, blah. So I think he's putting the foot down a little bit and saying, and this federal government tends to do that. I guess we saw it in some of the labor action with Seamus O'Regan Jr., how he let things go. And then at one point, the union came back and said, let's see if we could get a little more. And then Seamus was like, okay. And then they tried it a second time. Says, yo, come on. Let's deliver the damn baby. So the government is willing to allow some leeway and is also willing to say, okay, you've had enough now. This one. So I'm guessing that this is a similar case where the government said, okay, well, we'll give you time to come around.
Mm-hmm.
And then they thought, okay, we can wait them out because Loblaws will be around forever, but governments change. And then the people said, no, you will change. And if you don't, we won't shop there. And then 2 weeks later,
well, look what happened.
2 weeks later, Loblaws went from enough is enough to enough.
I think it's pretty funny myself.
I just
I think it's really funny.
Make it stop. No. If you do this, you'll be sorry. No, stop. Okay, don't do it. Empty threats are always fun.
Well, I mean,
Oh my God. I love it. Gary Sands with the Canadian Federation of Independent Grocers says the code of conduct should help level the playing field between small grocery stores and bigger players. We have seen where products might be in high demand or low supply. Bigger players have demanded that they get extra supply at the cost of those smaller players. Those types of situations won't occur again. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see indeed. But this is good news.
Oh, yeah.
This is good news. And again, showing that, listen, governance takes time. Things are very, very, very rarely instant. But if you stick with it, and if you put, guidelines in place, you can bring about the change. So hopefully they will sign. Of course, the devil's in the details, and June is coming. So TikTok. Yeah, and this is funny too. We noticed that with the government too, with Google and Meta. Meta still hasn't bent, but Google did.
Yes.
Right. So, and Meta's getting itself in trouble again because by doing what it's doing, it's not helping information get out to people who need access to quick information for wildfires. And when Meta tried that in Australia, it didn't work out for them at all. So once people start to catching on, that could put additional pressure on them. So they might end up coming around eventually. But this government seems to have no problem with saying, no, this is what we want. And then people will turn around and says, no, you will do it our way. And then our government just turns around and says, no. And we'll outweight you. It's basically the same playbook that they used with China on Mengwangzhou as well.
Mm-hmm.
There's a track record of this behavior from this particular government. They will stand up and they will just refuse to do what you want if they feel that you're trying to bully them too much. So again, something I like. Rather than a government was okay, well, it's getting too much. Let's just roll over. It's like sometimes you do need to stand and say no. All right. Do you have anything, Mr. Grizzly?
I've got. I don't know if I want to go back to the well again when it comes to the speaker, Mr. Weeks. But there's just so much information I'm gathering, finding online about what has taken place in the House, in the Legislative Assembly, I should say, because it's not known as the House. And well, let me read this to you. Let me just pull this up so I can read it to you properly. So this this is from April 16th. So this is before he did his speech, which was yesterday. And this is from Larry Hubich, Hubich, I hope I pronounced his surname correctly. Hubich, I think. Saskatchewan Government Speaker Randy Weeks says he has received hundreds and hundreds of texts from various cabinet ministers from his party's caucus berating him for doing his job. In the real world, those people would get their asses fired. They should immediately resign. So this is, 1 second. I assume this is from the Hansard. It's a text. So the speaker carried, just while I'm on my feed as speaker, I have received literally hundreds and hundreds of text messages from the government house leader, the deputy government house leader, and occasionally from the Minister of Finance. I'd just like to read into the record what the Minister of Finance just sent me. Randy, if you can blatantly lie, tarnish reputations of elected, unelected individuals with innuendos but no proof, we have no avenue to push back. Then, this assembly has become a joke and a stage for an opposition puppet show. Disappointing. First of all, if you want to make a point of order, get on your feet, and I ask the Minister of Finance to withdraw and apologize for this text and any others that you may feel inclined to send me off the record. Honorable Ms. Harpower, Harpauer, I withdraw and apologize. The Speaker, go ahead, Kathy. Deputy Clerk, government orders adjourned debates. Item number 3, resumed debate on blah, blah, blah. I ask the government house leader to stand and withdraw and apologize for that comment, too. I'm not deaf. I'm not. Mr. Jeremy Harrison, I hereby name you for disregarding the authority of the chair pursuant to Rule 57, in parentheses 2. The member is suspended from the service of the assembly for the remainder of the sitting day. So this is like when he says this has been going on for a while, he's not joking. He's deadly serious. And I think the straw broke the camel's back, and he went public with it yesterday. And the thing is, it's not like he's kept it hidden. He's been going public about this for a while now. But yesterday he's like, I got a guy flashing me like he's carrying a gun. He wants to carry a pistol into the Legislative Assembly. He brought a rifle into the Legislative Assembly. This is in the upside down times, folks. This is not normal political behavior in this country, or let alone any sort of particular office of that high. I'm just blown away by this. This has to be a first.
I would hope it is, but for some reason,
probably isn't.
Maybe we're just finding out how it's been operating for a while.
Maybe it's been going on for some time and we don't know this.
Because it seems that the tactic of going into a room and having a couple people waiting for you to talk with you is also not new.
Mm-hmm.
And that doesn't require social media.
No.
I don't. I'm not naive.
Mm-hmm. No. Of course not.
But I have an idealism to me. And this, Kitabi J. wish Fergus would speak out too. Yeah, I would be, except for Fergus, I would be surprised if that was happening from his own party. In this case. But yeah, this is, like I said, this is the part I still can't get over. This is how they treat each other. The people on their own team, the people that they allegedly like, and that are who are allegedly like-minded. So it's a freaking cult. Do what the leader wants, or you get it. Remember, kids and cubs, the difference between a cult and a religion. In a religion, your savior dies for you.
Right.
Your savior sacrifices for you. In a cult, you die for your savior. You sacrifice for your savior. Mr. Weeks just got sacrificed.
Oh, yeah. Big a time.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. All right. South side. It seems that we actually are going to get to debates between Biden and Trump.
Oh.
They have, in a move that is very familiar to people in Canada, I'm sure you will get all the feels. Donald Trump says he's ready to rumble. he's accepted a challenge to debate Joe Biden next month. Donald Trump lost both debates in 2020. Well, Joe Biden says, Donald Trump lost two debates to me in 2020. Make my day, pal. I'll even do it twice. So he was trying to goad Donald Trump because Donald Trump, is a little tricky when it tries to get him to debate. President Biden issued the challenge on social media, and it set in motion one of the earliest confirmed presidential face-offs in modern history. Trump quickly accepted, posting saying, "Just tell me when, I'll be there. Let's get ready to rumble." Within the hours, the two agreed that June 27th will be the first debate hosted by CNN. This will actually take place before the nominations are actually official. So that's the earliest the presidential debate has taken place in a while. And the second will be on September 10th, hosted by ABC. Trump's campaign agreed to Biden's conditions to no live audience, microphones turned on only when the candidate is speaking, and freezing out third-party candidate Robert Kennedy Jr. This arrangement bypasses long-standing tradition of holding debates in the fall. Both campaigns believe an earlier start will give clear contrast to voters in a close election. Normally, individual networks don't host debates in the United States, and there's a federal debate commission that usually organizes them. So it seems two leaders decided that they were going to bypass the debate commission that exists to create their own series of debates with their own rules. Does that sound like a recent Canadian election? And that the two people did that in order, one of the reasons, to keep somebody out of the debate. Elizabeth May must be getting all the feels. Because I'm old enough to remember when the leader of the Conservative Party and the leader of the NDP Party got together to make sure that Miss May couldn't be in debates.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I keep on wondering if the Harper years was the beta test for all of this. Because there's a lot of things that are happening around the world that said, I remember the taste of that. I had that Harper burger. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
It's like the United States under Trump. Oh, we're going to remove all instances and mentions of climate change off government websites. Where did I see that before? It's just, man. So yeah, they are going to have the debates. Donald Trump said, please, and here's what Donald Trump did, because, right, he allegedly wrote that book, The Art of the Deal. So they made a deal, right?
He didn't
June
write it. It was
27th.
ghostwritten.
Yeah, yes. But June 27th and September 10th, Donald Trump from Truth Social. Please let this truth serve to represent that I hereby accept debating crooked Joe Biden on Fox News. The date will be Wednesday, October 2nd. They agreed to June 27th by CNN and September 10th hosted by ABC. I accept to debate by... Trump wants a third debate on Fox. I guess Trump signed a deal with Fox saying that he would show up to debate, but that's not the... It's like, what type of person signs a deal and the ink isn't even dry and they try to renegotiate the terms of the deal? And it's like, and does anybody really think that Joe Biden's going to accept going to debate Trump on Fox News any more than Trump would accept debating Biden on MSNBC? What are we? 3-year-olds on the school ground again? I hereby accept a debate. It's like, on Fox. I'm going to debate Crooked Joe. It's like, really? And if Joe doesn't agree to debate me on Fox, Well, that says everything you need to know about him, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. Sure it does.
Like that? Yeah. Sure. Mr. Trump, once you agree to a debate on MSNBC hosted by Rachel Maddow, then we'll talk.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Biden. Donald Trump has a long history of playing games with debates, complaining about the rules and then breaking those rules, pulling out at the last minute, or not showing up at all, which he's done repeatedly in all 3 cycles he's run for president. President Biden made his terms clear for 2 one-on-one debates, and Donald Trump accepted those terms. No more games, no more chaos, no more debate about debates. We'll see Donald Trump on June 27th in Atlanta, if he shows up.
Mm-hmm.
Biden's really going at him.
Oh, yeah.
Come on, debate me, pal. Make my day. I beat you twice. I'll do it twice more. We'll see him on the 27th, if he shows up.
If
What's the matter,
he shows
Johnny?
up.
Chicken. I mean, we're little. The junior high from which no one ever freaking graduates ever. But that's where you got to go get Donald Trump. Like, if you want Donald Trump to dance, you basically got to treat him like he's a 5-year-old on the school playground.
Oh, yeah.
And taunt him and tease him.
Yeah.
And then conversely flatter him. Because apparently with Donald Trump, flattery gets you literally everywhere.
Well, it's because he's got nothing else.
That's why when I tell people flattery will get you almost everywhere with me, because I tend not to sign blank checks. Oh man, a little update also on the Prime Minister of Slovakia. Following, because as we mentioned, there was an assassination attempt. It seems that the 5 times he was shot was at close range. As well, it wasn't like a sniper from far distance. The doctor succeeded in stabilizing the medical state. However, we're still not beyond the risk to the life of the Prime Minister, said Deputy Prime Minister Robert Kalinak. He's pleading for calm in the country as the investigation continues into the shooting. The suspect was taken into custody at the scene. I'm guessing if you shot someone at close range, then it's kind of easy to nab you. Slovakian officials say that the accused has acted alone and, as we mentioned, recently took part in anti-government protests. So, and I believe that the suspect is 71. So, you would sometimes maybe think, or might be inclined to think, it would be a younger person that would attempt these types of things. So, I'm guessing there's some. When we finally get information as to motive and what behind that, there's going to be some a very interesting history to that, for it being someone that's older and from Slovakia, and considering the type of system under which they grew up. Maybe it is that they don't want to go back to that.
Possible.
70 something, you lived under a system all that life, and then, oh my God, we've had like freedom and democracy or something like that for 20 years, and it's like, yeah, let's go back into the sphere of influence under Putin. It's like, hell no. So I've lived under Russia once before. No, thank you. That might be it right now. Right now on my part, it's just speculation, but it just surprises me that it would be a senior citizen, I guess, who goes to anti-government protests, considering that the current government wants to get closer to Putin. So, yeah, this will be once we hear more about motive and whatnot, there's going to be maybe a slightly atypical tale to these type of events that would be the case for North America.
Mm-hmm.
In this case. So our North American lens looking on this might not fit this one, because there's a whole different history, and if you've grown up behind the Iron Curtain and then experienced freedom, and then maybe fear having to go back. So, meanwhile, there's if we're talking Putin, there's a big summit going on right now. It might be over now, but over the last 2 days at least, Russian President Vladimir Putin was in Beijing to have talks with Chairman Xi Jinping. Through a translator, Putin said the war in Ukraine will make up a big part of the agenda. Quote, obviously, on my part, I'm going to inform President Xi, the President of the People's Republic of China, about the situation around the Ukrainian crisis. We're going to discuss the initiatives that our Chinese friends are suggesting to help to settle this issue. Beijing issued a statement saying that China hopes Europe can return to peace and stability, with China playing a constructive role. Putin arrived in Beijing seeking to deepen what they call a no-limits relationship. They declared that a little bit before Russia went into Ukraine. But that relationship has provided the Kremlin with some diplomatic and cover and economic lifeline during the war. The Russian leader was allegedly greeted warmly by Xi and a state welcoming ceremony outside the Great Hall of the People. And before the cameras, Chairman Xi pledged that the two countries would, as he described, uphold fairness and justice in the world. In turn, Putin called Russia-Chinese cooperation one of the main stabilizing factors on the international stage. That's according to NPR News. It seems, however, that even though they have this no limits relationship, it seems that there are indeed some limits, because China still isn't completely all on board with what Russia is doing in Ukraine. And it seems that while they are getting cover in some economic activity, that China only wants to go so far. Has not been helping Russia as much as Russia would like with regard to arms and weapons and stuff like that, which is why it's dealing with Iran and and North Korea in particular. And I'm not sure what quality stuff he's getting from North Korea. So China is in, but not all in. And of course, we're having a situation where Russia is spending a lot of money on this. And as we talk about, when we talk about, I mention often above the fifth column, because he has this metaphor of the international poker table where everybody is cheating. Mm-hmm. And Russia is at the big boys table, the high rollers table at the moment. But by spending so much, basically they're creating a situation where they risk being demoted down to a smaller table, which would mean that that would leave China and the United States at the big table, maybe along with India, maybe along with a couple of other places. And Russia or Putin has to kind of decide what's more important to him, actually prosecuting this war, making sure that his country's finances remain such that he can remain at the big table. Because right now what's happening is that by spending all this money and destroying their reputation. Now, Russia can still finance this maybe for about another 2 or 3 years, but at one point all the reserves are gone, and at one point it's going to show up, and the Russian people are going to get one heck of a shock when they're no longer able to move shells and pretend that the economy is still doing well. But in that time, that could still be enough time. For example, when we saw with Ukraine, that 6 months delay in getting the package, and using low ammunition allowed Russia to make some gains. And plus, well, those Ukrainian soldiers were on the front lines all those 6 months as well. So they're tired, they're fatigued. There's way more Russians than there are Ukrainians. So in terms of, it's just like, throwing bodies into the machine, and because Russia can outlast Ukraine in terms of sheer number of bodies. So the recent deal signed in the United States, not the deal, but the passage of the bill to finally get that $61 billion of aid to Ukraine really matters, so that they can keep that up. Because the population in Russia isn't really going to start turning on Putin for another 2 or 3 years, until things get really so bad that economically he can't hide it. So, China is not really fully all in, and China, I guess, is also seeing a situation, so is the United States seeing a situation where it's like, hey, we can just keep collecting chips while Russia's spending all of theirs. So Russia's in the process right now of basically surrendering its place as the number 2 pole to China and becoming rather economically dependent on China as well. So Putin has an irony here going on, that while he's trying to recreate the glory of the USSR, he might be becoming a vassal state.
Mm.
of
Interesting.
someone else.
Interesting.
Yes. Others. The other thing going on, sort of in that realm, is that oh darn, I forgot my thought. Sorry, I had something I was going to say. It popped into my mind. It's, oh yeah, I got to mention that, and then it just left as soon as possible, pretty much immediately. Oh yes, that was it. It seems also that trade between Russia and China, though it is doing well, isn't growing as fast as it once was as well. So there's there's a ticking time bomb economically going on here that that can cause some great difficulty in these these dealings. Yeah, more to come, but yeah, Russia and China getting close is a thing that a lot of people feared. But China, one of the things about China is that it really is playing the long game, and it does have its own plan. So so long as Russia can be useful to that and that plan, that would be one thing. And the plan right now is to try and create a more multipolar world where there's more checks against the United States. But yeah, like I said, Putin's going to have to determine what's more important, whether he wants to remain at the big boys table or actually win this war. So yeah, we'll see what's going on there. Small little bit of economic news. If you are an investor, yesterday the Dow Jones Industrial Average surpassed the 40,000 mark for the first time ever.
Wow.
So there you go. And I believe the TSX, it wasn't for the first time ever, but I believe the TSX crossed is now over 22,000. Yeah. So it had been that over a while too. It got to a high of 22,329. Oh yeah. Well, that's the 1 day thing. Yeah. It's been a little higher. It was a little higher, or we were there in over the 22,000 around the April 10th area, and then we dipped, and now we're back there again. But yeah, these are lofty. These are record highs for both of them. So if you're investing, you're pretty happy right now, especially if you've invested in some type of ETF that matches the performance of these markets. You've been doing very well. Michael, if speaking also in the United States, Michael Cohen has testified at the Trump trial. I think that if he's got one more day, that might be it, but it's coming to a close. And it looks like the trial will be coming to a close soon. It seems that he will be the final witness for the prosecution. There was some talk that there might be somebody else, maybe a little more of a technical witness to come after. I'm not sure if that will be the case, but it seems that the prosecution is ready to rest their case. I'm not quite sure how the defense will present something. Trump keeps on saying, yes, I will testify, and then maybe I won't, and maybe I will, and all that kind of stuff. Same thing. He won't testify. He's a liability.
Oh yeah, you think?
Unless he really does override his lawyers and wants to make a big deal of this and sink his ship. But I doubt that he will, because for as erratic as he appears, he's ridiculously disciplined when there's something he does not want to say. So I'll put that out there. The cross-examination will start. Trump's attorneys will probably, of course, try to question his integrity, saying, well, he's a liar. He's perjured. Yeah, but he lied for Trump, for the benefit of Trump, and not the direction of Trump. It's like, that kind of matters. And then he's saying that, well, he bears his boss ill will, because Michael Cohen has not been shy about saying how he feels about his boss, his former boss, since then. And we're thinking, like, ill will. Do we remember that while Trump was president, Michael Cohen had gone to jail, and then he got released from jail like this on probation, I guess?
Yeah.
Well, he still had a sentence. And then he was starting to write a book, and then Trump got wind of it, and then somehow found a way to re-arrest him and throw him back in jail? Trump had the guy who took a second mortgage on his house to keep the story of Stormy Daniels quiet. Because he thought for a while that Trump wasn't even going to pay him back. There are tapes. He's not even going to pay back. Trump pays him back. Cohen goes to jail, gets released on probation, starts writing a tell-all book because found out his old boss didn't have his back because he went to jail. And his old boss didn't pardon him. Starts writing a book, and then Trump has him rearrested and sends him back to jail. Trump also tried to have his vice president murdered, or allegedly. It's like, yeah, I think he would bear him a little ill will. Somebody comes into your life and says, hey, your freedom, yeah, I'm going to take it and put you back in jail. Thank you very much, because you're writing a book that says not nice things about me. Yeah, you know what? I would be a little petty too. It's like Stormy Daniels when she was on stage and says, so I hear you're trying to make money out of this by selling t-shirts. It's like, yeah, not unlike the president. As soon as he's got his mugshot taken in Atlanta, the first thing it was on t-shirts and it was being sold. Like, come on.
Yeah.
It's like, you got Trump going, there is no case, there is no crime. This could have been brought 7 years ago, but they wanted right smack in the middle of an election. Yes, because if we had brought it 7 years ago when you were president, you would have just gone to court for that, because you're not right now at the Supreme Court trying to pretend that you've got immunity for everything. So yeah, had we done this 7 years ago, you would have really cooperated with that, wouldn't you?
Yeah, sure. I'm sure you would.
And 7 years ago, they knew that you would successfully be able to delay this up until right at the point of an election that nobody knew 7 years ago that you were going to run in 7 years later. Dude. Cohen testified earlier that Trump did know of the scheme to buy the silence of the former adult film star because he's there to corroborate that it did indeed happen and what the reason was, and that claims of an affair, claims that this was all to protect Melania was bullshit. And the reason why they know it's bullshit is because Trump was trying to stiff Stormy Daniels. If you remember, he was trying to get her to sign on that and said, hey, let's see if we can delay the payment until after the election, because after the election, it won't matter anymore if the news gets out, because I'll be president. So if it doesn't matter anymore after the election that the news gets out, well, if the news gets out, it seems that your wife is going to see it now, is he? So you don't really care about protecting Melania.
Clearly.
Logically. Oh no, I just wanted to spare my wife the embarrassment. Prior to the election. After I didn't care. Yeah, that's really going to stand up well in the court.
Mm-hmm.
Jeez. Melanie, get out.
Run.
Oh my God. Mr. Grizzly, do we have a show?
I believe we do, sir. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just trying to work here at the same time, so I don't have all the stuff that I would, Anyway, I'm getting a lot of work done in the process, but it's kind of, I understand that it doesn't give me the most, doesn't make me the most attentive grizzly, because I'm, I have to earn a living, right?
Yeah. You do. Everybody's working for the weekend, as we say.
Oh, yes.
A couple of mentions before we go. 2 passings. James Darren Nittition.
Yeah, Dutchy. Yeah, cancer.
From TSN. Yeah, had been fighting cancer. There was no official cause of death released by the family, but everybody assumes.
Well, he'd been fighting cancer for a while.
For a while.
So it would have to be assumed that was the official cause of death, even though they haven't really.
Yeah. 57.
Yeah, that's young, because that's only 2 years. Well, shit, no, like a year away from me.
Yeah. Native of Regina, began his career with TSN in 1995. Clearly a company man.
Oh, yeah.
Mainstay on the network's flagship. Great sense of humor.
He was hilarious.
Just adorable personality, ability to laugh at himself.
Mhm.
Really did love sports, and you can tell the passion was there. Yeah, it's just weird. That's going to be weird. Not seeing him on the screens anymore. There's certain he's like since 1995. People.
Yeah.
He is sports, right, in this country. So
yeah, almost 30 years.
Like Brian Williams, it's like Brian Williams hosting the Olympic desk thing, right?
Oh yeah.
Now he's not doing. It's like Rod Black. And so like there are certain people that they are sports. They've just been around and they've been our face. I remember when they used to refer to Rod Black as the mustache who talks.
Yes.
But, yeah, this is, we think of sports and it's like, it's like, it's not such a big deal. It's like, this is not like hard investigative reporting or whatnot like this. But I mean, these are people that come into our homes like this, for people who are sports fans who watch, Sports Center every day, every night like this to, it's the same type of relationship as people, would have with Peter Bansbridge. Back in the day, somebody that comes into your home, nightly, or most nights for 15, 20 years, giving you the goods about what it is about the topic you're interested about. It doesn't always have to be hard news. So these are real relationships. It's a big loss. It's a big loss. And also Arthur Irving, which is a seismic news in the province of New Brunswick, because, of course, Irving, everything.
Yes.
Pretty much. It's like you could go to New Brunswick and go, Irving, and just point at everything. But yeah, he is a billionaire businessman, of course. He died at the age of 93. He was serving as the chair emeritus of Irving Oil Limited later in life after running the company for many years. He's based in St. John. The company owns Canada's largest oil refinery. Quote, he never lost his enthusiasm for the province, for the business, for the people that were in it, said Premier Blaine Higgs, who worked at Irving Oil for 33 years. And he never lost appreciation for everyone that he served as a customer and who worked in the business. And I think that respect was demonstrated in everything he did. And you know what? Because clearly Mr. Higgs had worked for Irving for 33 years, I am going to bypass this opportunity to make a comment about Premier Higgs at this moment. Because this is not the moment.
No, it's not the time.
And obviously this is not just somebody saying, whoever is the head of the province of the day making a statement like they would be expected to. This is someone who has worked for the company for 33 years. So there's a little more to the statement than just the normal fluff here. He never felt that he had a big company, Higgs said. In the size of Irving Oil compared to the Exxon Mobils and the Ultramars and Shells, he always felt it was a small regional company and it could compete in a big world. And I think that that's the vision that we share as a province, that every day we can work a little harder to be a bigger and better province. As Premier Higgs says, he applies the lessons from Irving's leadership style, and it's going to be really, really hard for me to roll my tongue in my mouth to not say something right now. But yes, it has had an influence in the sense that you plan, you look at information, and you study it ahead, and you decide on where to go next. And the idea is you've got to make a decision and get on with it, Higgs said, and you just can't continually talk about something. And I am exercising so much restraint, especially when he's talking about looking at information and studying it. But I will be kind. Former St. John Mayor Don Darling described Irving's death as a tremendous loss for New Brunswick, but also for his city. Quote, Mr. Irving was a passionate champion of our region. I had a couple of occasions to sit with Mr. Irving when I was mayor, and the very first thing he said was, how can I help you, Mayor? How can we help the city? Darling echoed the fact Irving took pride in New Brunswick, both by employing so many locals and keeping his oil refinery headquartered in St. John. St. John. He noted that the company is in a time of uncertainty and change, and Irving's death might add to that. Quote, I think it really marks a transition that was coming. Last June, the company announced a strategic internal review that could lead to the sale of the company. So this is, if the patriarch's gone too, that might definitely increase the odds of that. Former New Brunswick Senator John Wallace fondly recalls the 17 years he worked for as a lawyer for Irving Oil, collaborating closely with Arthur and his brother Jack Irving. Quote, of all the people that have influenced me in my career in law and the Senate, all of it, my happiest days, my most satisfying days I had were working with Arthur and Jack at Irving. Arthur, he could challenge you, you had lots of responsibility, you were expected to perform, but he had that special knack for being able to draw the best out of people. When you were having discussions, you weren't leaning back in your chair, you were on the edge of your chair. So many times you found out a lot about yourself. When you thought you had achieved all you could, gee, there was more there. Arthur just had the ability to draw it out of people. In an obituary posted on the Irving Oil website, it says that he worked for the company for 73 years. He died at 93.
Wow.
73 years. He shook the hand of everyone he met, remembered every name, and had a wonderful ability to make every person he met feel a special connection. On behalf of everyone at Irving Oil, we thank you for the business, Mr. Irving. It's been an honor. J.D. Irving, the company owned by Arthur's brother J.K. Irving, released a brief statement on his death. Quote, on behalf of our family and all employees at J.D. Irving Limited, I wish to extend my deepest sympathies to the Arthur's family and the entire team at Irving Oil on Arthur's passing today. In a statement, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau called Irving Oil one of Canada's top employers and Arthur Irving a symbol of Canadian entrepreneurship and success. That's where you have the more sort of generic statement, because I'm sure that there's no deep relationship between Trudeau and the Irving family.
No.
So a symbol of Canadian entrepreneurship and success, which is true.
Yeah.
But that's like the minimum you can say. Yeah.
In the decent thing to say and do, right? And
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
the extent of it.
So there you go. Two big passings. Different reasons. One of the world of business, one of the world of sports and entertainment and information. But seems to be two people that affected many people very, 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 very positively. And they will be missed. So our thoughts go out to their families, their friends, and all who loved and cared for them. And it's a sad day for that type of stuff. All right, kids and cubs, that's the end of this episode of the Daily Beaver Morning Show. We hope that you love listening to us because we loved making this for you. Oh, and by the way, there was some Beaverific news. I saw it earlier on in the chat, but it seems that one of our kids is in love.
Oh, do tell.
Oh, that's all I know.
Oh, okay.
I just saw it at the beginning of the chat when it says, I'm in love. So, yay. Congratulations to you. I think it was Kit. I'm hoping I think it was Kit Ina that posted that. But if I'm wrong, I'm sorry. But yes, it seems that somebody has love in their life. And that makes me very, very, very happy. I love love. So, good. So there you go. Sharing is caring, so please tell your peeps and poops all about us, right? And if you would like to be able to do that, well, maybe you would like to go to our pod page. Thanks to the Ray Girl. podpage.com/the True North Eager Beaver, lowercase letters with a hyphen between each one of those words. And when you subscribe there, when we have something fresh off the bandwidth, it comes directly to you. And that will certainly help you tell your peeps and poops all about us. Also, hey, if you would like to get a little beaver in your life or put some beaver on your wiener, well, we've got you. What?
Beaver on your wiener. Okay, sure. Yeah, just gonna leave.
I didn't
there.
decide where the logo goes on those boxer shorts. You're the one who put them there.
I'm just gonna leave it.
Then you need
anything.
to go to you need to march on down to our merch store. If you click that QR code under my chin right now, that will bring you to our Etsy shop, etsy.com/ca/shop/TNEB merch store, all in one word. And there you can get everything you need to show the entire world that you are an informed and engaged citizen. It's very sexy. And if you'd like to help us in other ways, then you need to make like Kit Elaine, who once again is right on time saying, have a beyond awesome day, everyone. And remember to smash the button before you leave. Have a wonderful long weekend. Excited that the train is finally moving again. Yay! You have to tell me what that train is, Kit Elaine, so that we can share that with the kids as well. Kit Saucy, damn it. Damn it, Beaver. I was hitting the bong at that moment.
Okay.
I was close to being a mess. I love it.
Call that wake and bake? Is that what that is?
Oh man, it's wake and bake, and I helped. We don't need no rails. Okay, so if you make like Kit Elaine and go to the True North Eager Beaver YouTube channel, and you make like Kit Cassie and lick the buttons.
Sure.
You have a great weekend in store. We promise you. If you licking the buttons is fun. So like, share, subscribe. Go there and yes, please. Thank you so much. We appreciate all the attention that you give us. And if you would like to help us in other ways, kids and cubs, you need to go to our coffee page. That's the QR code that's right by Mr. Grizzly's head right there. And that will bring you to our tip jar, the emergency hydration fund here at the Beaver Lodge, as we call it. That's coffee, ko-fi.com/Eager Beaver. Lowercase letters, all in one word. And you can do like Kit Wendy did, who has sent us a little something saying, cheers, gentlemen. Keep up the good work. Love you guys. Thank you so much. And
Thanks,
yes, and also some interesting thing happened to me yesterday. Remember when I told you, I think it was last summer, that my Beaver Sweetie and I went shopping at Canadian Tire, and for the first time ever, somebody recognized me from the show, like from the general public, and like from across the parking lot. I was like, hey, are you Mr. Beaver? I love your show. And I thought I had acted like a total ass because I felt like on my end I just went, ah, instead of like saying something intelligent or smart. Well, turns out that one of my castmates from Arsenic and Old Lace is very, very, very good friends with that person. And they turned around and says, wait a minute, you read it? So we actually met yesterday and shook hands. He came to the dress rehearsal. So Kid Chris, hi. And turns out that Kid Chris thought that he too at the same time had said, ah. So we both thought that we made total asses of ourselves.
All good then.
Yesterday we fixed that. So it was lovely to meet you. And I hope yesterday we had to go really quickly, so we didn't have a chance to talk a lot. So I hope that we will have a moment to actually exchange and get to know each other a little better. But it was very, 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 very nice to meet you and to be able to shake your hand, because last time we didn't even do that. We were like a couple of car lengths away and said, hi. We just like waved and then we got into our cars. It's like, I should have just gone up to him and said, what's your name? Or something, right? I had no idea what to do. I was completely,
It happens.
It was weird. It's I do not know how celebrities do it. It is weird to just be going about your life and somebody goes, hey, do I know you? And you're like, what? It's weird.
What you do is you just act normal.
Yes.
And I only say this because, this is not the first time I've been in the public eye. I mean, I used to host a live-to-air radio show back in the 90s from a nightclub, Spanky's Playground. It was Club Cool, and there's, like almost 1 million people listening in.
I love that.
Yeah, I started that. I was the first guy to ever do that in Ottawa, to do a live-to-air broadcast from a nightclub.
I listened to that religiously, the Spanky's thing.
That was me. I started that.
Dancing in my living room when I wasn't allowed yet in the clubs.
That was me. Yeah. So that's like 30 plus years ago. So I used to have people just randomly coming up to me on the street. Oh, dude, I'm like, how do you recognize me? They came to the club during the live broadcast. So I had people just approaching me. Thing was, I wasn't making any more money at it. I mean, shit, I was getting minimum wage.
Yeah.
That was it. It was like the guy I worked for didn't believe in paying DJs a decent wage. It was what it was. I liked the gig. I liked the place I worked in. I got to help design a lot of the stuff that went into the club. So, it was a learning experience for me. But now I only work for the money I want. If I'm going to DJ anything, it's like, this is my fee. Oh, we can't afford that. Okay. So you still do it? No.
Yeah.
No, this is my fee. If you can't pay me that, I can give you the name of somebody who might be able to suggest somebody for you, but this is what I charge. And I'm not getting out of bed for less than that because, quite frankly, it's not worth my time. And, like to DJ a wedding, there's 40 hours of work that goes into it, and the day of the event is 18 hours minimum.
Yep.
They're like, well, you made $1,500 or $2,000. Or I go, yeah, and I worked 40 hours for it. And 18 hours the day of. So no, it's not easy money. Do you want to make easy money? Have you considered committing massive fraud? That's the only way to make easy money.
Ask Mr. Petersky.
Yeah.
Petersky,
I don't recommend you do that, by the way, but
Yeah. You got kids. Oh my God, kids. Mr. Shadika. Paul looks like a grown-up Caillou, but don't take that in a bad way. I personally like Caillou. Caillou when he's grown up and responsible, of course.
Okay, I guess.
Oh my word. Okay. So yes, the coffee.com, if you would like to contribute to the emergency hydration fund, thank you so very much. Because democracy is something that you do. If you live out in Alberta, please, the Alberta NDP leadership race, get involved there. Have your favorite candidate, support them, and do what you need to do. It seems like it's going to be a very good race. And if you happen to be living in British Columbia, in Saskatchewan, and in New Brunswick, we have provincial elections coming up. And if you would have asked me 2 months ago, I would have said it was a lock in British Columbia for David Eby, but now it doesn't look like that's the case anymore either. So it seems that all three provinces are going to be a contest because Saskatchewan is tight, New Brunswick is tight, and British Columbia is tightening. So we'll see what happens.
To answer your question, Mohan, it all depends on what the event requires. If they just require just a PA system, that's $1,200 for me to walk in the door because I provide the PA and I play all the music and I bring all that. If they require lighting effects, a projector, things like that, the price goes up depending because I have projectors. I don't have lighting effects, so I have to rent that stuff, and I'm not going to buy lighting effects. For the 2 or 3 gigs I do a year, if that, it's just not worth my time. I just, I'm old and I'm tired, and lugging that stuff around is not easy. And now, because I sold my car, I have to rent a vehicle to do it. So there's an added cost. So it's got to be somebody who's near and dear to my heart and special to me for me to even consider doing it to begin with. Just because it's so damn much work. And I'm going to be 56 in like a month and change. So,
Yeah. There are certain things that are for a time in your life.
Yeah. Can I still do it? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Here's how I'd like to be able to do it. I'd like to be able to walk in. Everything is set up exactly the way I like it. I plug my headphones in. I plug my laptop in. I play my gig. I close my laptop. I take my headphones. Somebody does the tear down, the pack up, returns it. That's how I like to do it, which means I'd have to hire somebody to do that, which is an added cost. Do I want to do that? No. It's just, I'll do the odd gig to help promote a charity or something that I feel near and dear to my heart, or someone who is near and dear to my heart, but I'm still getting paid what I deserve.
Yep.
You're getting 44 years plus experience at this. I know what I'm doing. I'm good at it. And somebody said the other day, I was having a conversation with a friend of mine the other day at Manor Lounge. We went for their, it was Wednesday evening. Went to my sister's birthday, and then we went to the Manor Lounge afterwards for their patio kickoff party, big promotional thing. And I was talking to one of the owners, Chris, and I was telling him about how, he said, it's 10 years ago you built our first store. I did all the AV for them. And I go, 10 years? Wow. I said, I can't even do that work anymore. He goes, no. I go, no, man, my knees, my back, I'm just tired. I'm old. I'll hire somebody to do it for me. He goes, I get it. I said, look, I'll come in and I'll consult and I'll help design and I'll create. I'm not doing any of the installation work. Somebody else can. Why do I charge what I charge? Because I've got 40 years experience doing it. You're paying for my knowledge, expertise, and experience.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the old story about the old ship mechanic who had retired, and they had this one ship. They were having a problem with the motor, the engine that couldn't run. They couldn't get it to work properly, so they called in all these specialists. Nobody could figure out the problem, so let's call in old Tom. So old Tom shows up with his tool bag. He walks in and he says, "Just give me a few minutes." So he puts his ear, listens, goes over to another engine block and listens, pulls out a ball peen hammer, runs his hand along, goes tap, tap, tap. Fired up, works perfectly. Sends him a bill for $12,000. What the hell? All you did was tap on it 3 times. Yeah, you're right. I did. So I'll give you an itemized bill. Tapping on it 3 times, $200. Having the knowledge and knowing where to tap and fix it within 5 minutes, 40 years experience, $11,800.
Mm-hmm.
There's your itemized bill. It's not, all the other experts, they spent all this money. All the other experts couldn't make it work. This guy did because he knew where to go. It works like that for me in my industry. I know where to tap is what it boils down to.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's going to cost you money because I've spent 40 years learning how to do it.
Yep. And that's 40 years when you learn how to do it. That's a lot of time you don't waste going down wrong avenues. Yeah. It allows you to be efficient.
Well, yeah, because you've already made all those mistakes. Now you don't. You just walk in and go, no, cut that out. Get that out of here. That's a waste of our time. We don't need to do that. We need to do this right here, and boom, that will fix the problem. How do you know that?
Don't ask me how I know. It'll take longer for me to explain how I know than to actually fix the thing.
Exactly.
Let's just fix the thing.
Let me just fix it, and we can be on our merry way.
Yes, indeed.
So that's my words of wisdom for today. Why do experts who have decades of experience cost so much? It's because they know what they're doing. I don't have a problem paying a lot of money for a service from somebody providing it who knows exactly what they're doing. Because if I can't do it myself and I don't know how to do it, I'm going to pay somebody who knows how to. Look, yep. I'm not an electrician. I do audio, visual, and telecommunications. I will pay an electrician to do things because I have a very healthy respect for electrical systems. Because if you mess it up, it will kill you or burn your house down. I have a very healthy respect for electricians. Same thing with plumbers. My toilet stops working at 2 a.m. on a Sunday. You want to know who my biggest hero in the world is? Mm-hmm. Is the guy who shows up at 2:30 a.m. to fix it. Or gal, guy or gal. I mean,
mm-hmm.
I'm not trying to be gender specific there.
Mm-hmm.
Whoever shows up to fix it is my bloody hero. There was somebody I met years ago who was a president of a company, who was a humble, down-to-earth individual. And he wasn't always that way, but he was much younger, and he was working at his first sort of adult job, if you will. And he went home to visit his parents for the weekend. And his father was like a captain of industry. And sure enough, 3 a.m. on a Sunday, the toilet backs up. Place is flooding. Calls up his plumber that he's had for decades. Dispatched a guy right away. They're a 24-hour service. Dispatched a guy right away, came and fixed it. He's like, thank you. Can I give him a tip? And his son was like, Dad, why are you treating the plumber like that? He goes, because he's an expert in his field at what he does. I could not have done what he just did, and I'm going to treat everybody with respect. Everybody. If you do your job and you do it well, you have earned my respect, and I will give it to you each and every time. So he said that was a lesson that he learned very, very quickly. He learned that just like that. I will treat everybody I meet with respect, no matter what their profession is, because guess what? There is no such thing as unskilled labor.
Bingo.
There's no such thing as unskilled labor.
And there's no such thing as if people are doing an honest day's work,
they should be paid well.
They should be respected. No matter what it is you do for a living or how much you got, you never look down your nose at someone who's doing an honest day's work.
Nope.
You just don't. Because there's a lot of people that work hard and are not getting paid what they're worth.
Exactly.
It's not how hard you work.
Well, and like when they say unskilled labor, I'm like, bullshit. Well, the guy's just shoveling into that wheelbarrow and moving the dirt. And I go, okay, you go do it for 12 hours. How about you do it for 2 hours? And then you tell me that's unskilled labor, because that person can do it for 12 and not drop dead, because they know how to properly move, how to properly lift, how to properly dump. That is a skill, and it's a learned skill. You may think it's simple work. Do it for 2 hours. And if you can handle it for 2, see if you can do it for 6. If you can put in a full 8-hour workday and achieve what that person achieved, okay, I'll salute you. But you're going to learn a skill out of it. Because guess what? Digging a hole by hand, if nobody tells you the proper method to do it, you're going to hurt yourself. You're going to be cut and blistered and sore, and you're not going to be able to walk the next day. There is no such thing as unskilled labor, period.
Bingo. From the Beaver Lodge, this is your eager beaver saying, it could be a tough world out there, so please be kind to and gentle with yourself. Mr. Grizzly, I think it's time to cue the cock, and we have a very... You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. CanadianTarot.com, their uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community, and the Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from farm-fresh ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind. We are grateful to the Crier Media Network for its support, Pete Jarvis for our artwork, and Paul Joseph Something for our opening and closing sequence music.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off like that. It's just
No.
finger hover, and you started to speak, and it's like, I've already pressed it. I'm just going to let it roll.
That's okay. As I was saying, we're going to be back with a fun Easter egg because, well, let's say there's this question or this meme that's been going around, like asking women would they feel
the beaver
safer,
a bear or a man?
Yeah, safer in the woods with a bear or a man. And
what if the man is a bear?
That's my kind of forest.
And
Going on a bear,
know what I'm talking about.
Catch a big one. I'm not scared. But yes, it seems that Bear has been winning by a landslide.
Not surprised. And the amount of incels MGTOW incels who have gotten bent out of shape over this, it's like, that's the reason the women want the bear and not you, dum-dum.
And as a gay man, there have been times I've picked the bear too.
Yeah.
And not in the fun way.
Yeah.
Right? So, ladies, I feel you.
You want me to share this? Or?
Yes, and then so this picture started coming around.
Oh yes.
And then it was sort of like everybody was captioning it. So the first caption was, of course, it's like let me in. There's a man in the woods.
Yeah, that was a good one.
And then there was, quick, let me in. Christy Gnome thinks I'm a dog. Or, hey, is that porridge?
That was pretty good.
Or, Goldie, I'm sorry. Come on, baby. Let me back in. No, your ass looks great in those jeans. Come on, Goldie.
What did you put for me? It was like Mr. Beaver when he's sitting there waiting for me to arrive.
Mr. Grizzly when Mr. Beaver sleeps and is late for the show.
Right.
Hello?
Thank you. Yeah. Are you there?
Or, Mildred, I need that sundress. It's the only thing that will match my earrings. Look at the bear. He's got yellow tags.
Oh, hang on. Let me just see. Oh.
Can I borrow that dress?
Oh, yeah. I didn't see that the first time. Wow. Yeah. Okay.
Hey, girl. Hey.
Let's do the weather cam and see. It looks like it's. Let's just do this. We'll just check and see. Yeah, it's a little overcast right now. And why is my camera mirrored? Damn it, I hate it when it does that. My camera is mirrored, and it shouldn't be. It keeps doing that. Anyway, it's overcast right now in Canada's capital, but it's not supposed to be for too much longer. It is supposed to be... where did it go? I lost my camera. Oh, well. It's supposed to be nice and sunny later on today. So hopefully that will happen before the day is over. I'm hoping for some sunshine, and there we go. I fixed it. I had to fix it because you know how squirrely I get when things don't work correctly. There we go. Yes.
There you go.
There we go. So there's what it looks like as we look out the window. All right, let's wrap this up and get on out of here. I have a meeting in just a few minutes, and I have some editing to do and laundry to do, and then I have to go into the office this afternoon. So it's a busy day ahead for me. I'll see you.
Have a great weekend, everyone. Bye.